Hello, it's Alex. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I am in my sewing room. I don't often do videos from here, but I thought it was time for a little bit of an update. About a year ago, I did a video which was a tour of this room, which I was kind of new in this space. And there's a couple of things that haven't worked too well or need changing. So I thought I would do a bit of an update on that. I've also got a few things that I have sewn recently. I've got some plans. So yeah, it's a bit of a general catch up. So I think possibly I will show you the things that I have sewn, and I'll probably be fairly quick with that because I'm not sure it's necessarily for everyone, because I've been sewing things for the gym. I recently made this. I showed you the fabric when I bought it from Abakhan. I think it cost me a whole £5. It's a top for the gym. It's Activewear fabric, which obviously I really wanted because I needed something wicking. It's from Greenstyle Creations, and the reason I like it is I am a woman of a certain age, and I get hot when I'm in the gym and I want as much ventilation as possible. So I don't want anything super tight. And this top sort of has two layers to it. So it has what is in effect a bralette underneath. I hope you can see that. Maybe I'll put some pictures of the pattern design in. But it has a bralette underneath and then a layer over the top, which there are different variations of, but yeah, the layer runs over the top. So with mine, when I'm wearing it, you don't see a gap at the side between that bra top and the layer. It doesn't look like I'm wearing a crop top because I don't feel comfortable wearing a crop top, but all of this drapiness gives me a lot of ventilation. So I made that. I didn't find the instructions to be amazing. I think they're fine, but if you are a complete beginner, you'd want to read them very carefully. So it was more of a tester really to see whether I liked the pattern as in when I'm actually at the gym. And I do. So I think what I'm going to do is order some bamboo fabric. Lots and lots of you recommended bamboo as a really good fabric to use for that kind of thing. But it's not cheap, so I didn't want to kind of test the pattern out on something not inexpensive, expensive. So I'm quite pleased with it, but it's not very exciting. And then the same weekend, my grand plan was to make an entire outfit. So the same weekend, I made a pair of just plain, ordinary black leggings. And I used the Avery leggings pattern from Helen's closet. It's a pattern that I've used before, so I didn't have to worry about cutting out my size. I knew that it would all fit. And the fabric I used was Suplex fabric, which again is a little bit hard to find, and when you do see it, it's usually quite expensive. And I found this from a company called Tina Knight, and I thought, hooray, it was something like, I think it was £8.95, let's call it £9 a metre. So I ordered 3 metres thinking, well, I'll do a top and leggings from it. However, there's a reason I'm not putting them on and I'm not showing you. And it's because I don't think that this fabric was entirely squat proof. And by squat proof, what I mean is that, you want to be able to bend down and do a squat. Ooh, there we are. And make sure that at the back, the fabric, obviously you don't want the seams to split, that's a different thing. But the fabric isn't doing that thing where it goes really thin and you can see more than you really want to. And maybe I needed to size up on this pattern for this kind of fabric, but I wasn't comfortable with what I saw in the mirror. So unfortunately, the leggings have had to go in the drawer for wearing at home. The other thing that I have been sewing that I mentioned on my last video that I thought I would show you is I have been making some Christmas garlands, and it sort of happened while I wasn't very well and I had that killer cold. And you know when you get to the point where you think that you're better, or you're so bored you want to be better, and then you get up and do something and then you sort of collapse in a heap and think, no, I'm not well yet. Well, when I was at that point, I had this idea to make these garlands, and it was actually the perfect thing because I could just do a little bit and then go and collapse, rather than garment sewing, which took a little bit more brain power, and I knew I really wasn't in the right frame of mind. So, Christmas trees. All the fabric I used for these were from scraps, which is very, very, very satisfying. But here are my trees. I'm going to put it over the fireplace. They are sort of padded, and I did some stitching on them to kind of look like a garland. A garland on a garland, a garland on the tree. And because you know me, I tend to use lots of kind of autumnal colours. I had loads and loads of scrap fabrics that were suitable. I may have got a little bit carried away, and I say that because here is the pile I made. Oh yes. I don't know what happened. I think it was a bit delirious. Yeah. Many Christmas trees. I think that we will use these in our kitchen because we tend to go to town a little bit on the Christmas decorations in our kitchen, and I feel sure that we can make use of all of these. Anyway, I got a little bit carried away, even more carried away, and then I thought, okay, well these are all very sort of neutral and tasteful. How about doing some more garish Christmas-like ones? So then, these are not made with scrap fabric. I dashed off to my local fabric store to see if they had anything glittery, and they had this fabric, which is slightly rubbery on the back. It's reminiscent of the kind of black outlining fabric you get. It's that sort of a feel. And then, you know, I like things mid-century. So, oh my goodness me. So these ones, I then got a bit carried away. I keep saying carried away, ignore me. I then decided to do different stitching on them, and I went for a bit more of a kind of mid-century vibe with the stitching designs on these ones. Again, I'll put some close-ups. And then I thought, well, those are very glittery and slightly more festive, or you could say garish. So I then went back to Leon's and bought some felt. But these are also quite bright colours. Do you know, my kids complained one year because they said our Christmas was too tasteful because Mum doesn't like tinsel. And they said, why can't we have a glittery, garish Christmas like everybody else? Anyway, they can when they get their own homes. So I then made some out of felt. So what I'm going to do at some point in the next couple of weeks is I'm going to do a little tutorial, and I'll make that a separate video because I'll do it as if you're somebody that doesn't know an awful lot about sewing, which obviously a lot of you do. But yeah, got carried away. I don't know. I think I've really enjoyed doing something fairly mindless and small, and I really enjoyed coming up with different ideas for the stitching on these. It was great fun. So, as I said, I thought I would do a little bit of an update on how I've got on with this room, because most of it has worked really well. I will put a link in the description box below for the video when I did my tour. But a couple of things in that video stopped working. Not that long after, a few weeks later. So I've removed those links and yeah, I'll tell you what those were. Sadly, one of them was my brilliant idea to have a remote controlled iron. So my iron lives over there and my sewing area is here, and I don't like the idea of having my iron permanently on when you may only be getting up and using it once in a blue moon. So I thought it was a brilliant idea to have the plugs that you could have as part of a remote control and then just turn the iron on and off while I'm sitting over there. I still think that's a brilliant idea, but unfortunately the plug system just died. And not long after that, the same plug system that we had bought for my mother-in-law to use to turn on all her side lights, stop her having to get down at plug level, also died. So unfortunately that isn't a system that I can now recommend. However, I do still like the idea of being able to turn the iron on and off remotely. So what I'm going to try next is an Alexa plug. I'm scared she's going to talk to me in a minute because she's over there. Yeah, so in theory all I can do is sit there and using my voice say that name, please turn the iron on or turn the iron off, and I'll have the same system. It just means buying an Alexa plug. I do think it's actually really good to have an Alexa in your sewing room. I use it all the time for things like radio and podcasts and stuff. It's very handy for conversions. I was looking at a pattern yesterday that only gave the measurements in Imperial, and I was ordering fabric specifically for that pattern, and I have no idea what 2 meters and 2 yards. 2 5/8 of a yard is in meters. I don't know, but it's great because you can just go, Alexa, what is 2 5/8 of a yard in meters?
2.625 yards is 2.4 meters.
Hooray! So yeah, I love having. You notice I go for the male voice on mine, by the way. I don't like that thing, you know, that they purposely put a female voice in because people are more used to giving women instructions. So when I heard you could have a male voice, I've changed all mine to men. And then the other thing I showed you that hasn't been a success was I bought a little light with a magnifying section on it. It was to replace an old one that I'd had that for donkey's years. And it was touch sensitive. Well, again, same thing, stopped working after a few weeks, completely useless. So that had to be abandoned. So can't recommend that anymore. I have got a bit of a problem with my ironing area. So just over here where you can't see is where I have my ironing board. And it does mean, because this here is my cutting table, it does mean that the gap between here and the wall is quite narrow, and I end up doing the old sort of side shuffle, which is a little bit annoying. And I don't know that I actually need to have a full-size ironing board in here. I've tried the little tabletop ones that you can get from IKEA, and I had one of those for a while and I put some extra padding on it. I don't find that to be massively successful. So, question, has anybody tried using those fold-out ironing boards? I think that they are generally designed for things like kitchens and utility rooms. Yeah, it's designed to come out of a cupboard. I'm wondering about using one of those and asking my husband to mount it somehow underneath here, because I've got a gap there. So in theory I could just pull it out here and do any pressing, because let's be honest, we're not really pressing entire washing loads of garments, are we? We tend to be just doing seams and things. So yeah, but any other suggestions for a small ironing space or board that I can just put on here that actually works really well, not that flimsy IKEA thing? I'd really appreciate that. So if anyone's got any suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. That would be brilliant. So this part of the video is sponsored by Serious Readers who make lights. And you know this is not something I do very often. I do get approached quite a lot, but 9 times out of 10, the product is something that I don't necessarily believe in, or it's not relevant to sewing, or not something I can speak to. But this time they talked about their daylight wavelength technology on their lights, which basically mimics daylight as much as is technically possible. And it is perfect timing because I've been really struggling with the lighting in my sewing area, which, as I say, is there. When I moved into this room about a year ago, I decided not to put the sewing table immediately under the window, which is what most people do. The window is behind where the camera is, so it's there. And it's not the most biggest window in the world, so the room is dark. All I have in here lighting wise is literally above my head, a ceiling light, and I've been struggling. Made even worse in the winter with it getting darker earlier, but to be honest, even in the summer, it's dark over there. And it's been a tricky brief to fill because I've got a Victorian house, the ceilings are quite high. Been talking to Dave about it. His background is in retail design, so he's pretty clued up on lights. And I was saying to him, what do I do? Because if I have a ceiling light low enough in order to get the benefit of the light, then I'm just going to knock my head on it every time I get up. And it's going to cast a shadow. I was using a floor light that was niggling me because it didn't go with the room. But apart from that, couldn't get enough reach on it in terms of the adjustment, but also in terms of the light itself, and it was constantly in the way. So been talking to Dave about that. We've been looking online at various different craft lights and different options and kind of getting nowhere fast. So as you can imagine, when I heard about this daylight wavelength technology, I said, okay, well, let me go and have a look. I was really impressed with the range. Now I have got an offer code, so hold on, that will be coming up. And it is also applicable to people outside of the UK. So it's international as well, not just here. So there are 3 different lights in the Serious Light range. There's a high definition, an Alex, should have ordered that one really, shouldn't I? And a classic. And they're all customizable. There are lots of different options with them all in terms of what their ability, what they can do, but also in terms of how they look. And yeah, I did want a light that kind of aesthetically fitted in with my room, but also the practical side of it was my main thing. So I went for a high definition floor light with a heavyweight base. There's also a lightweight option, and if my sewing room was on the same floor as my living room, I would have gone with the lightweight one because I could really do with one downstairs by my section of the sofa where I knit or crochet or whatever while I'm watching TV. But am I realistically going to lift my light up and take it downstairs every night? No. So I went for the heavyweight option, and also I think my thinking was that would help with that vibration thing, and it has done. I also went with a black metal finish. I think the other option was white, and I went for the adjustable, what's it called? Hose? Hose sounds wrong because it's metal. But anyway, the adjustable element is also customizable. I think there's 3 different finishes, and I went for the brass because I liked how it looked. It fits my style. The main customizable feature that I also went for was a Gemini option, which is 2 heads. Okay, so this is my spot. Sewing machine is here, and as I said, overlocker is here. So all I'm doing most of the time is twiddling around from one to the other. Over there is my cover stitch machine. Not sure if you can see it. It's not even plugged in. I never use it. I'm thinking of selling it, to be honest, but that's another story. So what's great with this is that because we've got the adjustable arms on the Serious Light, I can afford to have it on that side of the desk. There's enough angle reach, that's the word I'm looking for. There's enough reach that I can get my two lights, here they are, to come over this side of the desk and focus on the sewing machine for this one and on the overlocker for this one. Now, obviously, where I want that focus is on my foot, because that's where all the action happens. So I can, if I turn it on, I can fiddle around with it to see where I want it. This head of the light is fully adjustable here. You can twiddle around to your heart's content. But for me, I'm focusing in on that foot. In addition to that, I'm already illuminated. Actually, turn the machine on. In addition to that, at the moment, I'm on the lowest setting, so they're completely dimmable. I can increase that setting to its brightest, and I can also adjust the beam according to where I want that to be as well. So there's a lot of flexibility. Once you've got your, thank you, Mr. Faff. Once you've got it set up how you're happy with it, once you, when you turn it off, it remembers. Something very satisfying about the way these lights turn on and off. It remembers what your setting was, and when you turn it back on, it will come back onto that previous setting. I'm looking ghostly now. So it's really, really pleasing. It's really, really useful. Excellent for focusing down on that one spot. And I would imagine that if you were doing crochet or knitting or cross stitch, or of course good old fashioned reading, it would work really well there too. I've had it now week, 10 days, something like that. So I've still got lots of kind of different things to test it out on. But for example, when I was, where are they? I was making these leggings at the weekend. You can imagine sewing black lycra, or what did I say? It was called Suplex, yeah. Black fabric with black thread is not easy. And as I said earlier, I'm a woman of a certain age. My eyesight's not as great as it once was. Not only do I need reading glasses for pretty much anything, I also wear contact lenses. So trying to sew black on black ordinarily is very difficult. But with the daylight wavelength technology, it's fantastic. It feels like a really good quality product. It does have the price tag that's associated with a really good quality product, but I think, and I think that you know that I wouldn't be telling you that this product was fantastic if I really didn't believe it. It's really, really worth it. So as promised, I have got an offer code for you. It's AJS22, and with that offer code, you get 5-year warranty, you get free shipping, including international, and you get a free compact light, which is a desk light. I keep mine over here. This is my cozy armchair. And what I tend to do on that chair is unpicking. So it's proving to be absolutely brilliant. So, you know, unpicking is always a strain on the eyes, isn't it? Because we're using matching thread. So it's been absolutely brilliant to see the dreaded unpicking and to sit there doing that. Yeah, bearing in mind I've recently had to give up on a few bits of technology that weren't working. You know, it's good to know you've got the warranty, but yeah, really nice, proper sturdy products. Please let me know if any of you have used them, you've got any feedback on them, or go and have a look. I'd really like to know, that'd be great. The other thing I wanted to show you was a little wheeze I had, and that is that I wanted to make a blazer. I bought the fabric, the same fabric, these are the Billy trousers that I showed you a little while ago, this green fabric. I did go and buy some more of it so that I could make the Fran blazer from the same pattern designer to wear together. I think I mentioned it on a video, and so many of you commented and said, I think you should make the matching blazer. I think by about 10 a.m. on the day after the video went out, I was in my car and zooming off to the fabric shop to buy the fabric before it ran out. So I have got the green fabric to make the matching blazer, but I also fancy making a black blazer. It's a classic, isn't it? And I'm in two minds about whether that is the right pattern or not, because that Fran blazer pattern is designed to be oversized, which is very on trend at the moment, but I don't know. I think I would rather make a blazer that's got more of a classic fit, because I think that that will last and be have more longevity rather than something that's a trend. So I'm not entirely sure what pattern I will go for, but I'm definitely going to make a black blazer. Now, I have seen some fabric which is winging its way to me, but inside for the lining, certainly for the back, I'm going to use this. And this is a silk scarf. And it looks like that. Don't you think that that on the inside, you know, when you go to hang up your blazer, is going to look fabulous? I can use just plain old black lining for the sleeves, and I guess that I won't get enough out of this to do the sides, because there'll be some facing, won't there, that'll be the same fashion fabric. So probably on the side panels I'll just do plain back lining. But yeah, I think that is going to look great. And do you know where I got it? eBay. I think it was £5 or £6 on eBay. So not brand new, but it's, if it's been used, I'll be amazed. It's in excellent condition. And the fabric that I've bought is, as I say, it's winging its way to me. It's from Simply Fabrics and it's ex-Gucci. It's a Gucci return because the selvage is completely mangled, but the fabric itself was made for them, and I couldn't resist. I noticed that they are now having a Black Friday sale, so it's a little bit annoying that I ordered it last week and not this week, but there you go. Should we talk about Black Friday sales in the sewing community? Anyone else finding it really hard to avoid them? I think it's really difficult. I wish in a way that we had like a sewing Black Friday day at a different point in the year, because I don't really feel that fabric and patterns are things that you tend to buy people for Christmas. We tend to be buying them for ourselves. And at this time of the year, our budgets are generally aimed at Christmas presents, aren't they? And I think most of us are tightening our budgets at the moment with the increasing cost of, well, heating bills and food. So I find it really difficult because it's very tempting when your favourite pattern companies and favourite fabric companies are offering all these massive discounts. But I have decided to just not partake unless there's a fabric that I was already intending to buy, or a pattern that I was already intending to buy and intending to buy nowish. I think the best thing is to avoid, and I wish they'd all do it, I don't know, in the summer. They all complain that sewing dies off in the summer. Maybe we should have a summer sale instead. But yeah, what do you all think? Am I just being miserable? I don't know. Just one quick thing before I go. I got this fabric this week, which is from Minerva. It has been gifted to me as part of their bloggers network, brand ambassador, I don't know, whatever it's called. It's one of their exclusive prints, and it's on a French terry, and did make me laugh. This arrived yesterday. My husband was home. You never really want your husband home when your fabric arrives, do you? Anyway, he took one look at it and went, oh yeah, that's very you. It is, yeah, look at this print. I really, really like it. I feel it's got a bit of a 70s vibe to it. My kind of colours, as always. It's a really nice fabric. Yeah, it's one of their exclusive designs. It is a French Terrier and it's nice and soft, but it's not as thick as some French Terriers. It's more like a slightly thicker Jersey, so it's really nice. I don't like things that feel too bulky. My intention is not to do anything massively dramatic with it. My intention is to make a polo neck top, again to wear with my 2 pairs of wide leg trousers, this being one and the cord pair that I made also with Minerva fabric being the other. Yeah, but they've got a really nice range of these new exclusive designs on Minerva, so definitely worth going and having a look for that. I just realised that the tops that I'm wearing are also from Minerva. I showed you the fabric and I said I was thinking of doing this. It's the Elba Textiles Wayland tank and the Juniper cardigan combo that I was talking about doing. I really like it because this has got wool in the jersey. It's a wool jersey, so it's nice and warm, and I think they work really nicely together, and I'm really enjoying the red and the green, which was my plan. And thank you very much everybody who reminded me. You know, I said at the time that I thought that the saying was red and green should never be seen, and everybody came on and said no, it's blue and green. What a numpty. And that makes sense because I don't like blue and green together, whereas I think these 2 colours look pretty good. Anyway, I think that's me done today. Lots of bits and pieces. There will be a tutorial soon for my garlands. And don't forget to check out the Serious Lights. There will obviously be links below to all of that. And the offer code is AJS22. Thanks everybody. See you soon. Bye bye.